Hello Collective, Elsie here to do a reading for you. How are you? Thank you so much for showing up here. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you always come back, thanks for coming back. I appreciate you. So I'm just doing a reading for you no matter what your sun, moon, or rising sign is. Let's find out what's going on here. This is a general reading. Please keep that in mind. It's not going to resonate for all of you. All kinds of playlists, all kinds of readings on this site that you can take a look at if you're interested in your own particular energy. Let's find out what's going on for you, Collective. Tell me what's coming up here for the Collective. This could be for today, tomorrow, or next year, depending on where you are in your lifetime. Let's find out what's going on here. We have Be True to Yourself. We have Face Your Shadow. And we have Reflect on Your Truth. Bottom of the deck, we have Forgive and Forget. Well, I don't know if that's the best advice. I always say forgive, but I don't know, tattoo it on the inside of your eyeballs because I don't think you should forget anything. I don't think you should forget a damn thing. You just don't want that, repeating that cycle. Make sure you notice it. Tell me why you need to be true to yourself. What's going on here for the Collective? Collective, by the way, if you're interested, there's all sorts of sales going on right now for pre-recorded and live readings. So please look at the pinned comment, follow the link to Hypsee, and you will see all of the pricing there and all of the discounts. Tell me about Be True to Yourself. Why do you need to be true to yourself? We've got the Five of Pentacles in the reverse. We've got the Queen of Swords. She is true to herself, for sure. I say herself because there's a woman on the deck, but please know that we're reading masculine and feminine energies, not necessarily reading body parts, right? Be true to yourself. I feel like you have gone through a period of lack. And so maybe it's a disconnection for some of you. Maybe it's a lack of finances for some of you. But the Five of Pentacles means that you're on the outside looking in, or you feel left behind, or you feel like you see everyone out there getting what they want and you're not getting what you want. I think that things are about to change. Because the Five of Pentacles is now showing in the reverse, which is reconnection, which is your financial things are about to straighten themselves out. Money becomes a little bit easier to acquire or flows easier to you. And I think it's because you're being true to yourself. That is the Queen of Swords energy. The Queen of Swords is somebody who is being honest and truthful with themselves, but also with others. But the Queen of Swords is the divorcee. So not all of you are divorced, and not all of you are a divorcee, but I'm talking about the energy of that. So usually, for those of you who haven't been married, this is the way it goes. You get into a marriage, you usually end up compromising a lot. Some people end up losing themselves in relationships, whether you're feminine or masculine. It's not one or the other. But I feel like when you do that, you start to lose yourself in other people. And I think that I'm talking to someone who is no longer losing themselves in other people. Somebody who's now standing up for themselves, who now is speaking their own truth, whether it's whether the people around them agree with them or not. They don't really care. So I feel like you are stepping into your true self is what you're doing here with the Queen of Swords. We do have the Nine of Pentacles as well. I do feel for some of you that you could be alone, or maybe that you have built this confidence alone by yourself while you were out in the cold here. We do have the Death card. It does feel like something has changed within you here, and that you are now looking forward to the future. It looks like a brighter future. It feels like you're more confident, that you know how to do things on your own. Sometimes that's the way it goes though, right? I know it did for me, where you get to a place where you kind of lose yourself in everyone else when you become someone who is always trying to please that person, or you're trying to get someone to notice that you're a good person. And sometimes that can get you into a place where you start to be a people pleaser. And so the Queen of Swords is Libra, who can very easily fall into being a people pleaser, but Libra can also very easily stand up and say, wait a second. I think that this is enough already. And so I think that this is what being true to yourself is. It feels like you are now making decisions and thinking for yourself. And you're making good decisions, I feel, and building your self-esteem, building your vocabulary, whatever it is. It feels like you're very confident in what you're doing. Tell me more about this, please. We have the Nine of Wands, we have the Hanged Man, and we have the High Priestess. Well, I like that because you become more confident in your intuitive energy. You're starting to listen to yourself more. You stop asking questions of everyone outside of you. What do you think I should do in this case? What do you think I should do in that case? You start making decisions for yourself, and screw the rest of them. I don't really care if they like what decisions I make. I'm making this decision and I'm moving forward with it. And I feel like you're making good decisions because the Nine of Pentacles is here. So the High Priestess energy is telling me that now you are confident in your intuitive energy. You're confident, and the High Priestess can also be someone who's quite psychic, quite esoteric, someone who's a card reader, someone who is, that sort of energy. I feel like you're starting to trust yourself more, trusting what your intuitive self is saying, and I think you're making better decisions. The Nine of Wands is here, and so I feel like you were on the verge of burnout, and I feel like you were on the verge of burnout here because you were servicing everyone else. You were trying to be everything to all people. Trying to keep everyone happy is going to make you sad. We've got the Hanged Man energy here. I feel like you go into this place of, I've really got to take a pause and figure out what it is that I want for me. I feel like that's when you start to dig into the psychic self, and you start thinking, yeah, you know what? It's time for me to start sacrificing more than myself. I'm not going to sacrifice myself anymore. It's time for me to sacrifice all the people who are making me feel like I have to jump through hoops, be what I want to be, but be what they want me to be for them. I feel like you decide that there's a moment in time where you hold back your energy and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I think you do come to a realization. Tell me what that is. We've got the Three of Pentacles, we've got the Three of Swords, and we've got the Strength card. So what you come to the realization of is the Three of Pentacles, is that there are going to always be people who are on my side. There's always going to be people who will collaborate, who will cooperate, people in the community, people in my network. I'm always going to have at least 2 or 3 besties, or 2 or 3 people that I can really rely on. And then the rest of them, I don't care. I don't care what they think. I don't care what they feel. Let them feel like I've left them on the outside looking in. Let them feel like I've been a terrible, horrible, awful person. Let them think what they're going to think. But I'm going to remain strong and courageous, and I'm going to be holding back my energy from the people who expected me to be of service to them whilst leaving myself behind. I think this is what you're doing here, is you're facing your shadow. Oh, what is that song? Hang on, I'm listening. Oh, yes, it's Shadow by Livingston. He says in the chorus, it's not the devil at your door, it's your shadow on the floor. You were scared of yourself. You were scared of what was going to happen if you stood up and said, wait a second. No, I got to be really honest with you. I'm doing what's good for me now, Nine of Pentacles. I'm not doing what's good for you. And I don't care if you leave me on the outside looking in, because I've already got the people in my life who actually see my worth. So you're facing your shadow on the floor. You should go listen to that song. It's really good. Tell me about the face. Did I say Livingston? Yeah, Shadow by Livingston. We've got Face Your Shadow, which is the magician. Look, you have to face your shadow in order to become the magician. Because if you are living from the shadow self and you don't really know who you are, then you can't manifest the things that you want. You don't realize you have the power, which is all of the aces in hand. You don't realize you have all the skills, the resources, and the power. You really don't believe in the self, but I feel like once you face your shadow, you come to this place like, everybody kept telling me that if I manifest, it's not going to show up. Well, change your life. You change your mind, you change your life, and that's the truth of it. You can believe it if you want. You don't have to. I'm not telling you you have to, but that's the way I got to here. So we've got the Four of Wands and we've got the Eight of Pentacles. So you do decide to face your shadow, and in facing your shadow, you become a little bit more stable with this energy of, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I've got the aces. All the aces in hand are mine. I can start whatever project I want. I can move on whatever cycle I want. Whether it's Pentacles, which are in the 3D world, maybe it's going to be in the 5D world, maybe it's in Cups. But it feels like here that you begin to feel a little bit more stable. And after you face your shadow, you begin to love yourself more, because the Eight of Pentacles is all about now taking better care of you. You are now engaging in self-care, which is making you feel more excited about life. It's making you feel more stable, more passionate about your home, about where you live, about your friends. It feels like you begin to treat your body better. The Eight of Pentacles is not just about working on like self-mastery things like reading and writing and those things, but it's also about eating a good diet and treating your body right and saying really good things to yourself, good affirmations, doing the meditation. I feel like it all makes you realize that you've always had the power to do whatever it is that you want to do, collective. We have the moon energy, we have the Nine of Cups in the reverse, and then we have the Emperor. I feel like while you were in the shadow work, you start to feel really like in this delusionment. Like, I thought I was supposed to be able to have the Nine of Cups, but nobody told me it was going to be such hard work. And facing your shadow, the integration of the shadow, and I challenge you to go study a little bit of Carl Jung, and he will tell you all about the integration of the shadow, and who you really are is why you're here, is to figure out, it's the unfolding of you. It's not who you become, it's who you remember that you were. And so I feel like with the moon energy here, things have always sort of felt a little off for you. Like things aren't really as they seem. Like there's something else I should know here. It feels like you became disillusioned with the world, and I thought I was here for different things. Like, why don't I have enough money? Why am I not a millionaire? Why am I having such a hard time with it all? I feel like what you needed to do was to take control of your health, of your home, of your work life, of maybe you decided you're no longer going to work in the corporate world. Maybe it's building a business for you. But it feels like when you decide to take charge, that you now have more stability. You now start to realize that you had way more resources. You had way more skills than you thought you had, because now you are digging into this shadow, right? You're not afraid to dig into the shadow any longer. So I feel like you are at some point feeling a little bit disillusioned with the Nine of Cups, that, yeah, right, the wish fulfillment is going to show up, huh? But I don't think what you don't notice is that you've become the Emperor. Through this shadow work, that you've become the person who is in control. In control, King of Cups, control of your emotions. In control, King of Wands, control of your passions. In control of your financial life. And in control of your words, what you say, how honest you are, how truthful you are with people. It feels like you come to this place where you finally realize that the shadow work has brought you to a place where you have control. It feels like this energy here. Oh, we have the Ten of Swords. What you did is you got out of your comfort zone. That's what you did. And so that's what we all have to do. Nothing ever grows in the comfort zone. I'm sorry to tell you, but nothing ever grows in the comfort zone. You can root yourself to a spot, and you can stay in your comfort zone, and you can be comfortable and do all the things that make you comfortable for the rest of your life. But nothing ever grows in the comfort zone. And I feel like you finally did get out of your comfort zone. I feel like you realized that there were attachments or there were thought patterns that you weren't willing to change. You weren't willing to change your mind. There were thought patterns, certain ways that you did things, certain things that you did in your life. Maybe you ate the same 3 meals every day. Maybe you ate the same breakfast every day, went the same way to work every day. I think that you realized that you were in a rut, because the Hierophant is the spiritual teacher, but can also be someone who is unwilling to change. So, and although Taurus does have the ability to change, it takes them longer because they don't want to change. They have to come to the realization that they do change. So I feel like it's almost like you had made your own doctrine, the Hierophant here, you had made your own doctrine and you were chained to it. It's like you felt like you were giving up on yourself if you didn't remain chained to your doctrine or in your comfort zone, right? That if you were to get out of your comfort zone, that you would be cheating the self or selling out yourself. I feel like this 3 of Wands is telling me that there's way more in the future now that you understand that you're the one that's in control. We're going to talk about this, reflect on your truth here. Because I feel like you have come to a truth. I think the truth is that you are the spiritual teacher. You are in control of everything you say, you do, you feel. You're in control of it all. and you aren't blaming it on anyone else. I feel like you did become disillusioned because you weren't in control of you. That you were blaming it on, well, I had to lose my shit on that person because they were being a jerk. Whereas the King of Kings, the Emperor, would never do that because they're in control. So I feel like you come into this place where you are now in control of your triggers. You're now in control of changing your mind. You know that it's possible to change your mind if you try. The Three of Wands tells me you now have a brighter outlook for the future because now you're reflecting on truth. And it only would have happened if you were being true to yourself. Tell me about reflecting on truth. Truth is the Ten of Swords. We've got the Knight of Wands, and we've got the Six of Pentacles. We've got the Two of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, Two of Wands, Knight of Swords, and the Ten of Wands. So reflecting on your truth, I feel you decide that it's time for you to release all of the things in your life that are no longer giving you stability. And there are some people in your life who you realize have been breadcrumbing you. So people who you are giving a lot to, and they're not necessarily giving you as much as you're giving to them. I'm not saying it always has to be even, Steven. I'm not saying that you have to keep track of who's giving and who's not. I'm saying let it be a feeling for you. I feel like you decide that in order to be true to yourself, reflecting on your own truth, that you are releasing anybody who is just showing up, not making plans, not really giving you anything. You're not really getting anything from these superficial relationships. People that you call your friends, one of 1,000 people you think are friends on your Facebook page or on your Instagram. You know, it's just a popularity contest is what it is. And I feel like you realize that there are some things that you're going to have to release, maybe even people or situations. It feels like you go through the list and begin to block. I feel like you're just like, you know what, that one said a year ago, let's go out for coffee, and I connected with them 2 or 3 times and they never had time for me. I'm going to let that person go. I feel like it takes you a long time to make these decisions, but I feel like you start to do that soon. With the Page of Pentacles, you start to put a little bit of energy toward it. And although it's taken you a really long time to come to this place, because I feel like I am speaking to someone who either has a hard time making change or someone who might be a fixed sign, it feels like you decide it's time for me to put a little bit of energy into taking action. The Two of Wands is here. So we have the Knight of Swords, and we have the Ten of Wands. I feel like you're no longer going to feel the heavy weight of the things that you say and people don't like it. I don't think that you're going to be into compromising, not necessarily compromising, but maybe appeasing is the better word, that you're no longer going to appease people who are not interested in lightening the burden for you. Because I feel like you're a person who is someone who does do their best to lighten the burden. I feel like this Knight of Swords is telling me that you are taking action to dump anything that you no longer need. The cycles are here. You can see it. That you're no longer taking action or giving people your energy here if they're not going to give it back to you. It's got to be reciprocal, because people who aren't being reciprocal with their energy are taking too much and not giving you enough back, and it's a waste of time. So forgive and forget, I think, is bad advice. I think forgive and remember, I should say. Tattoo it on the inside of your eyes. Do all things in moderation. Build a solid ground. This is what I think you're doing here, is building a solid ground and learning how to speak up. So I feel like this is the energy that is coming up for you here, that you are going to do all things in moderation. And I mean, that's relationships, that's the workplace. I feel like you stop doing the overtime, you stop giving away energy that you could be using, instead of chasing people in private messaging. I feel like you are talking to people who are really connecting with you in the Pentacle world and saying, yeah, let's go out. And I think that the rest of them, you're going to be blocking them. I think that you're going to be making some pretty hard decisions, and you're no longer going to be dealing with people who are making you wait, I would say. So speaking up, and that is the solid ground. I feel building on a solid ground is that you do that by speaking up. And we do have forgive and forget. So the thing is that you don't always have to be angry with people when you let them go. It could just be that they're just wasting your time. They're time wasters. And I feel like it's time to stop wasting your time. Something that you don't know if you're younger, I'm at year 57, level 57, I like to say, of the game. You realize at this point that I have more time behind me than in front of me, and I've got no time to waste. It's every moment counts. And I feel like somebody here is coming to this realization that every moment counts. Because once you're true to yourself, that's when the shadow work starts. You really start to look within the self and figure out why you're doing the things that you do, and why you're wasting the time that you wasted on people who are making you chase them, and then reflecting on your truth. I've decided I've got to make some really big changes. And so I feel like that's what's going on here. Forgive and forget. If you want to forget, that's up to you. I feel like you should never forget, so you don't, because life is all about patterns. And if you forget, you will stop noticing the patterns that people put you through. And then you'll keep getting taken by them over and over and over again. And it's a time waster. So build a solid ground and speak up. I think you are building solid ground by speaking up. We do have the Five of Wands. We do have, oh, look at that. We have the Five of Wands, we have the Star, and we have the World card. I think you go from a place of indecision to healing. You go to a place of being hopeful, and you start closing doors one by one by one. I feel like you start wrapping things up. You start hitting milestones. You start achieving things in your life, because now you're not wasting your time on people, chasing them, making them like you, making them hopefully include you. I feel like you're in this energy, the Queen of Swords and the Five of Pentacles. I couldn't give a damn if you want to include me or not. Now I'm the one walking into the room and wondering, do I like any of you? Instead of walking into the room and wondering if everybody likes me. Now you're walking into the room with a whole new energy, and that is the energy of self-love. I think it is. I'm going to leave that right there. I hope that was something that made sense to you. And if it did, please let me know in the comments. I always love to know who I'm reading for. And I'm going to go for now, but I'll be back because I'm always back. Thank you so much, and have yourself a beautiful weekend. Thanks, Collective. Bye-bye.